Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I just kind of want to talk about working with your higher self, channeling your angel, being connected to a greater level of reality, and however you want to call it. I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding because working with the spiritual realms, consciousness, energy, it's kind of new for us. We don't really have a lot of information. So we were reliant on people's fantasy and their religious perspectives that were that like we're trying to communicate something that's beyond our senses, um, beyond logic, beyond reason, beyond our intuition. And we're trying to move ourselves into greater awareness. And the terminology and what we have to go on is a lot of religious filters, personal filters, um, different archetype patterns through myth and legend. And that works for us and against us. It acts. And so back in the day, I would say spirituality, New Age, had a really bad reputation. So it was kind of, no one would take you serious if you're like, I'm channeling my higher self, or I'm connected to an angel or a god. They look at you like you're crazy. And then, and a lot of the people who were doing it were probably seriously crazy. Um, and so it seems like there have been a lot of people who lie, cheat, steal, prey upon the gullible. And we find that in religion, we find that in magic, we find that a lot in spirituality, where they'll just put on a good act. So if you love attention and you're a good actor, and maybe you're motivated by money, maybe you're motivated by, attention or feeling superior, maybe you even have these grandiose ideas of self-importance, the spiritual realm is a perfect place for you to gain all that money, fame, and attention. Because a lot of people who are disconnected from themselves, disconnected from life and nature, uh, they become reliant on you as a leader. Uh, so personal ethics and morality come into play, and this is all has always been the case throughout time, as long as man has been ignorant. So now you want to connect to a higher power. You want to gain knowledge. You would like to know what's going to happen tomorrow. You'd like to predict and see the future. You would like to understand yourself. So I started doing a little investigation on Akashic Records, channeling your guides, and one lady was using a prayer to access um, the Akashic Records, and kind of a very logical way to do things. Another person suggested writing, meditating, connecting, and then just write until you start channeling and strengthening that relationship with your angel or higher self. And so there's lots of different ways. A lot of people also were calling the Akashic records an energy field. And so they felt like they were receiving a healing from just being dialed in to the level of Akasha. And they are kind of treating it like a Reiki session or like an energy session. Um, and so I think we all approach this unknown, this database of higher consciousness, higher self, whatever it is, the universe, God. We approach it with our own limiting thoughts and beliefs and expectations, but we also approach it with our own limitations. Some people are just naturally more powerful mentally and can use their mind that way. Other people are more powerful emotionally and can go in that way. And I would say there's another group that gets neglected, but there's a group of people who are physical, who physically feel energy, who feel sensations. So you can approach it very physically, so in a tactile way. So there's three methods of learning: tactile, visual, auditory. Um, Tactile is kind of kinesthetic. And in a weird way, all of our physical senses run through being kinesthetic. Because it's like you pick up the vibrations and then you translate them into images. You pick up the vibrations into sound. And so all of your senses um, go to your third eye, and that's awareness. And so I would say if you want to start channeling your higher self, slash your angel, gods, deities, other life forms like ETs, I kind of already said it, learn to channel you. But that sounds kind of contrary. You know, you're trying, like, literally, I can channel my angel. Like, and I've been in a relationship with my angel for a long time. And I've always been able to channel things. But going back, like now that it's all said and done, 10 years later, during this welcome to your angel experience, to having like really strong, clear visions of my angel, uh, looking at it all, going, when did this start? When did this end? Was I always destined for this reunion of this divine connection with my soul, with this piece of me that takes the form of an angel? You know, so like in psychology, everything's you. It's a reflection, it's an aspect of you. And when I really got into, uh, I would call it channeled writing, not so much autonomic, but channeled. Um, I, I started channeling an angel I had no idea existed, and his name was Ramiel, and everything he said was like right on. But he was also a lot of the beings that I channel now. They'll tell me they'll say at the very beginning, I am an aspect of you. And there's a reoccurring theme. It didn't matter which being I was channeling, there's always kind of an introduction and kind of an awareness that, like, there's a message. Like, if your book had a title and a reoccurring theme, like a life lesson they were drilling into you each chapter, for me, it's be your own authority. Put back on that crown, and govern your life. And so I think there is such thing as meditating too much, channeling too much, being magical too much, being in too much involved. That can kind of clog up the system. It's good to take breaks. And I would not advocate that at all until, you know, years later looking at my life. And so when you feel an energetic block, like a headache, you could be wanting it too much and too invested in it, or you've spent too much time. It's good to go out in the world and live an ordinary life. So that is actually like, if you actually want to like progress farther, don't do so much. And then when you really feel inspired to do it and you have the time and it just feels right, go for it. We're going for quality over quantity. So then let's go back to the real essence of it all. Learn to channel yourself. Get really good at feeling your vibes, feeling your own body, your own space, and really also acknowledge your journey. You have like a vault of wisdom in your own subconscious, in your mind. You just embody it, and you can pull on that wisdom, that information, that knowledge, and deliver it. When I used to do a lot of readings, I could tell when I was receiving information from what I would call an outside source. And I could tell when it was also, I was just grabbing it from this vault of many lifetimes, a vault of infinite wisdom that was already within me. So I would just say, and so sometimes in a reading, there would be three major, statements. I would say, your guide or the guidance coming in of that unknown source is telling me this, is sharing this with you. What I personally see with my own psychic abilities is this. And what I get from my vault of wisdom is this. So a lot of times in a reading, it would be three layers. It would be these higher, the channeled in information that I do not claim as my own is this. This is what they see, this is what they say. I actually have my own psychic abilities. Um and so me as a being, I honor myself and what I can gather from my level of awareness and what I perceive. I'll give that information. And then tucked away is that bag of tricks of, if I've lived on this planet a thousand times, you would think that you could gain an understanding and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that. You might have read some really powerful, life transformative information. Not exactly advice, but words of wisdom that are kind of universal. And you might be inspired to say that, and it's relevant. And so, mm, channel yourself first. Then, channel your higher self. So, today, while I was waiting for a friend to meet me at coffee and that didn't materialize, I was like, I packed with me a notepad and pen and a crystal, and I went to this new coffee shop, and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna sit down and practice this channeled writing, this intuitive, inspired writing. What would my guide say? And it's really interesting. I'm very visual, not so much uh, with the auditory. So I feel like I just get the knowing. I get it as energy waves, and then it so I download it and then it uploads in my mind with words that will match. So this was a different process. So I guess have the humility to try new things, go to new levels, and break out of the standard. So I was writing and I was getting visuals, And during that connection I had with my angel slash higher self, I'm just gonna start calling my higher self my angel. They're like the same being. Um, I learned something totally new for myself. I learned I could ask for things. I was like, whoa, it kind of never dawned on me that you could be like, hey, help me. Very specifically, help me get a better job that fits my personality where I feel safe. And, I was trying to access, in a weird way, kind of the Akashic Records. I've done it naturally before, like in my sleep, but I was like, the connection I had with my angel is literally like, if there's a room upstairs, he's like up there and I'm in the room below, and I can see everything and navigate in this room, but I can't really see and navigate everything in that room. And with my connection, I can kind of see a little bit within one of the rooms upstairs. But it dawned on me, I was like, it was kind of like an experience. I was like, oh, I get you're in another dimension. And that dimension is so far beyond my physical senses. And so I'm reliant on you to navigate your own dimension. You may have access to things like information about my past, present, and future lives. What's my purpose on the planet? And you may also find a better job for me that I literally have no ability to even have a clue to go look for. So that was like really kind of new for me. I was like, oh, I get this now. I can ask you for assistance and to navigate that other dimension, that room, that other room. And so I put in my request. And then obviously my friend didn't show up. I packed my bag and left. And I was walking around, and then I got a visual of what could be done. It was placed in my hand while I was walking down the street, this like orb of energetic material. I was like, okay, gift. This is that like fourth and fifth dimensional stuff in my hand. I just stuck it in my chest. I went, okay, integrate. Download, integrate. And I realized there was a time dilation. Like time like I'm sure my angel was already waiting for me, going anytime now, right on schedule. And then he already knew I was requesting, so it's like, yeah, uh-huh. And then the time dilation between what I did and what they did, uh, and then I got whatever that was. And so there is, so timing, moving from dimensions, and then the manifestation of those interactions, you know, and then the grand manifestation is I'll be in that new reality. I'll be in that new experience of a safe job that supports me, with maybe better pay and all that kind of stuff. And so it was an experiment, and I didn't limit my experience of channeling my angel to just writing. But then also I wasn't demanding and expecting it to meet my expectations the first try. It's like I've done inspirational writing a lot at different points in my life, and I really didn't do it like the last 5 years. So, but I was doing other things. So let's kind of move on from that. Kind of talking. I'm just talking about learning, continuous evolution of the self, and understanding ourselves energetically. So for me, a lot of it didn't have. I think the carrot on the stick was you could make a career out of this. You could help other people. You could be of service and you could pay your rent. That might be like a motive for sure. But then it never materializes because that's really not my focus. I feel like I just love investigating and exploring and learning and mastering my own energy field. And it's like I feel like we should master our energy fields. Uh, then let's kind of move on a little bit. Ways to literally attract a power animal, a fairy, an angel, your higher self. A very, very simple way is just put an image of that in your room, in your space. When you add those images and colors, you literally invite it in. So when I was like 19 and I was getting into shamanism and power animals and that kind of stuff, when I was like in my shaman apprentice phase after my shaman awakening, right after high school, spontaneous, awesome part of my life. I was reading the book by Ted Andrews, Animal Speak. And then I think I was reading also another book. And it just basically said you can literally invite certain paramount animals into your life by bringing in a picture and hanging it on your wall. So I remember I just bought a poster of like wolves and I hung it on my wall. And literally that night, a whole pack of wolves came to me. And it was a really amazing experience, honestly, the way they materialized. And I think timing, place, I think it was like on an energy vortex. I was living like in a haunted barn and all sorts of spiritual phenomenon I could see with my eyes. Like, and so I think I just happened to be on an energy vortex, living on one. And so it was really easy to manifest that. And so it was a pretty big manifestation, the way the wolves came. I was like, I laid down in my bed. I closed my eyes. I thought I closed my eyes. Like, I just laid down. You blink, you're like, whatever. And I wasn't thinking anything of it. I wasn't thinking anything. I was just going, okay, time to lay down. And this, like, I saw this, like, green meteor, like fluorescent green fireball moving through space, moving, and it got closer and closer and went into my third eye. It was like this beam, this like green fireball beam, went right into my third eye. And just like Santa and his reindeer, it was like a pack of wolves, and they all ran. It was like there was like a black wolf in the front leading the team of wolves, and the whole team of wolves went right into my third eye. Then after that, because I was doing a lot with lucid dreaming and astral projection, I would always have a dream wolf with me to help notify me I was in a dream. And then I would wake up and go lucid dream, and then I'd go to another level and astral project. So that was actually a lot of cool information. Uh, but I just, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, we can deliver that. So that's why I'm saying you can literally put a picture of your angel. You can draw it. You can start drawing these characters. You're inviting that energy. You're dialing in. You're giving them a place. You're creating a space for their energy to live in this 3D reality, this 3D, whatever you want to call it, this tangible experience. So so images are really powerful. So, uh, I'm like, is that too much? So images can be sacred, especially if you're very interactive with them. So I'll try not to give it away, but here's just one of my pictures. It's an abstract picture, but it's basically my angel. I'm covering his eyes, because windows are the doors to the soul. And so, since it's my personal angel, there's no reason why other people need to be dialing in to my personal connection. So, I think the more personalized something becomes, the more spiritual slash sacred it becomes. It's like it doesn't need to be witnessed. It becomes a sacred object, a sacred relationship, a sacred line of energy. So let's just honor that. But I just wanted to let you know that I follow my own advice and I get really good results. So I have another picture of my angel slash alternate self right above my bed now. It used to be on a different side of the wall. It used to be in the west, and now I moved it to the east. But just having the image, feeling the presence, and then sometimes when I'm channeling and working with my angel, or I feel really good energy, I'll just take that energy and I'll beam it right to the picture, and I will power it up. And so it's just another way of being mindful and keeping the relationship strong. So it's like you have to clear that pathway. You have to energize it. You have to feed it. You have to feed them energy. You have to be fed. You have to be willing to receive the angelic energy. To make a really strong connection. And so that's really been my my number one practice over like the last 15 years is strengthening that connection energetically. So most of my meditation is strengthening that connection. My connection with the universe, my connection with my higher self, my connection with my spiritual self, my connection with me, just down the dimensions, through and through. And then just more recently, bringing the energy up from the earth. So as above, so below, as within, so without. I'm doing a lot of above and below energy, connecting. And this is what works for me. It's very energetic. It's very tactile. It's and so it is a daily practice. Another thing I like to do is I might wear a piece of jewelry when I feel connected to my angel or I've had an angel experience. I'll wear my gold feather. It's just, it's just a little cheap, fake gold feather, you know. But I feel like it keeps me dialed in throughout the day. I keep, so symbols, jewelry, bangles, like colors that you're wearing, objects can remind you. So I have my Libyan glass. It works really well connecting with my angel. I'm wearing the figure eight because I'm working on as above, so below. I'm working on manifesting my dreams into reality, living in the vibration that I want to. knowing that I'm a creator, like I am co-creating in the moment. Yeah, it looks like this video is going to leave us. So we'll leave it at that. But this is just kind of talking about kind of the behind the scenes work of what I do with my free time. A lot of it is invested in keeping my connection strong.